corporate Nitro here with another nighttime road trip. Just returned 55-kilometer round trip for a Thunder Tiger EB4 with some knobby tyres. Looking good, very clean. The gentleman was an absolute legend, pleasure to talk to. His name was George. He was a mechanic. Look how clean this EB4 is. Looks like it's hardly been used. Hardly any deep scratches at all. It's got the pivot ball suspension that everyone loves. Sway bars in the front. Let's have a look what's going on in here. Remove that. Pop this open. Oh yeah, we've got batteries in there. Got the PRO BK28 engine. Looking lovely. This is a great buggy. EB4 S3. That's quite a powerful engine for a little buggy. Not too heavy. Nice body shell. What else did we get? Spare wing, fuel bottle, some tyres, air filter parts, and oh yeah, Hobeo Dominator. We picked up the Thunder Tiger EB4 S3 as part of a deal. I never would have gone and picked up a buggy. However, there's a couple of reasons why this was good for me. Okay, here we go. The PRO28BK engine would be great in my Sen Matrix TR Arena, since the Arena's got no engine, header, tank, or pipe. So what I'm thinking is, if we just transfer all of this carb, filter, everything straight into the TR Arena, we can run the truggy and just see how it goes in the park, just to get an idea for the handling and the speed. That would be great for my channel. And then we'll put it all back in here, okay, and then sell it. But also, we want to know if this thing even works. So before we go and pull it all apart, maybe what we'll do, since it's in such good condition, maybe what we'll do is we'll just unseize the motor, test that the radio and servo works, and it should be a great radio because it's digital. Tires are a bit cracked, but that's okay. Got to see a little bit of a repair to the fuel tank there. That should be okay. It probably doesn't leak. I've got a feeling this is going to need nothing at all other than unseizing the engine. So let's see if we can make this a quick restore, and then spend some time getting this engine over to the truggy, the Sen truggy. Right, we've plugged in 6 batteries into the transmitter. That's right, 6, not 8. It came straight on. I assume that someone's been mucking around with the trims or someone's bumped them. Normally you don't have the throttle trim in a weird position like that. Normally you keep it vertical. So we'll just return it once we start up and see if it is in the idle position or not. Anyway, before you do plug in a receiver pack into the car, you want to make sure that your carb is not seized. Otherwise you're going to put undue stress. As soon as this lights up, the servo is going to return to whatever position that is, and then you're going to burn your servo out trying to move a seized carb. So how do you test if the carb is seized? You just pretend you are the servo and just pull. See, the carb is not seized. And for the steering, you can see the steering servo is not seized. So we are confident that we can plug this battery in and we should be fine. Okay, let's turn the transmitter on again. Let's plug in the receiver pack and see what happens. Okay, on. Absolutely nothing happens. Nothing at all. Okay, let's troubleshoot this. Okay, so we've got a battery going into an on-off switch. The on-off switch also has the charger cable hanging out the side, which is pretty normal for a guy who likes to charge his receiver pack without having to open up the radio box. And then the on-off switch goes to the receiver, which is not getting any power. But everything's plugged in, but there's no power light. Okay, so let's play with the on-off switch. We'll just play with the on-off switch. That's what it was. Okay, so two things. On is actually off, off is actually on, and the switch was a little bit rusty. So, left, right, and the interesting thing about this is, when you turn right, the bell crank is hitting the shock. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. So either there's been a crash or this is a really bad design. I can't believe that these shocks would be touching the bell crank. Are they the correct shocks? They all look the same. They all look in the correct position. Yeah, very strange. Anyway, so steering is good. Alright, now throttle. Full throttle, back to idle. Okay, so we didn't have to touch the throttle trim, it's actually in a good position. And we've got a little gap there between pulling the throttle and when the carb actually moves. This is set up perfectly, we're not going to touch anything. Yeah, just that little on-off switch is around the wrong way. Okay, that was easy. Let's move on to the seized engine. Right, let's have a little look at the condition of the head. And so we can get a look at the piston. So we'll remove the head. All the screws are frozen, so we'll get the hairdryer. We'll heat up the whole engine, since we need to unseize it anyway. We're going to put an old Allen key into each of the 6 screws. We're going to give it a quick little tap with a hammer. That's going to break the rust. So breaking the rust and the heat with the hairdryer, that's really going to loosen up the screws. And then we can use the good Hobeo driver to try and get the screws out. That's what I've learned in my experience. If that fails, then you need a real lot of heat to get the screws off. And also, doing a fast motion also works as well. Alright, moment of truth. We've loosened all the screws. Let's get this head off and see how it looks. It's off. Whoa! It's golden and dry. That is beautiful. That means there was no nitro left in there. Oh wow, I think this engine is new. Is it seized or is it just so new? We've got to make sure we don't get any of that dirt in the engine. I can actually see a little bit of dirt on top of the piston right now. We've got to make sure we don't get any of that dirt in there. Look, I've got some dirt in there. We're going to have to definitely vacuum that out or flush it out somehow, maybe with the metho. Let's put some metho on the rag and then get some of that dirt off. Yeah, we don't want to get that dirt in the engine. I don't know why they make these nitro engines, so the dirt can accumulate near the head. Anyway, let's keep going with the heat. Let's put some after run oil in there and see if we can free this engine up. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, straight away. It's completely free. That was the easiest unseizing I've ever had to do. Maybe I could have done this without the heat, without the oil. Just had to pull it a little bit, turn the flywheel a little bit. Anyway, it's happier now. It's got the oil. So probably get a bit of that dirt off now that we're here. And yeah, I think we're ready to fire this thing up. But the dirt is actually bothering me. So we've got to get that dirt out. Oh, got it. Look at that, on the tip. This is the best color, just silver and gold. It tells me that it hasn't been used much, it hasn't been run lean, and it hasn't been run rich. What a beautiful engine. 28. This will be great in a truggy if it fits. We need to check that the glow plug is working. Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's a good fire. So how do you know that you're using the correct glow plug for your engine? What you do is you take the head off and then you look underneath. If the glow plug is flush with the head button, okay, then you know it's the correct length glow plug. If that glow plug sticks through the button and you can see the threads of the glow plug, then you know that a long glow plug is the wrong plug for your head and engine. So in that case, you would go back to using a short plug. We've got a lovely little dual stage filter here. All the dual stage filters I've ever seen are normally much bigger. So let's oil up the inner foam, leave the outer foam dry. Right, we've got some 30% fuel here, and we've got whatever the hell's left in this one. It's probably high in oil from memory and low in nitro. Let's put some fuel in the tank, do a bit of a preheat with the hairdryer, and see if we can start this one up. Lift up the fuel flap and pour some petrol in. Keep recording the car. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of a prime first, and the easiest way to prime is just to open the carb and blow, or hold and pull. So what we'll do, we'll just hold the wheel down, lock that, okay. Now we've probably got some fuel coming in, so I'll put this back up here. We will try and start. How's the glow plug? Is it loose or tight? Make it a little bit looser.
Papa, don't make it loud.
It's a little bit too hot to hold it.
That's too loud.
Okay, Alright, so the first time we started it up, we accidentally had the carb fully open, which is why it revved hard. But then we had the carb fully closed, and it still revved a lot when we went to start it up, which makes me think it's got an air leak. Normally you get an air leak from the O-ring in the fuel tank, but then while I was looking at the fuel tank, look at all this fuel pooling up here. That's a pool of fuel. And if you look there, there's been a repair. Maybe the repair was not successful. So we need to address why the fuel tank is leaking, and is that the cause of the air leak. But we don't have bubbles in the fuel line, so we have to check, is the fuel flowing freely into the carb? We need to probably pull the carb apart, and then check the other gaskets as well, the exhaust and the back plate. We can see where the repair's been done, and yeah, I'm not happy that there's fuel leaking here. So let's take this thing apart as much as we can and give it a wash. Right there. The other side has been repaired already once. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume that the air leak is happening from the crack side. We're going to get the soldering iron and we're just going to touch the crack. Now we've got the screw in position because we don't want to mess up the thread. Okay, so we're making a little kind of like we don't want to go too deep, you just want to singe it. Okay, we don't want to make the hole bigger. We don't want to make a hole. And the other thing we can do is we can use this old zip tie and put a bit of extra plastic on there as well. Okay, there we go. We've added some zip tie using the soldering iron, and there's no more crack now on both sides of the screw. So now we can clean the tank with some methylated spirits, and then we can put the fuel tube in and blow into it and do a pressure test. And I think the only leak we're going to have now is from the lid. Another common problem with the Thunder Tiger fuel tank is the fuel nipple. It's well known that they leak from here. I think in the manual it says to put some CA glue on the threads and put them back in. I'll just use some silicone instead. Don't like the idea of using CA glue on screws and anything anywhere near fuel. So using the calipers here, we can see that the fuel tank opening is 23 millimeters wide. So what we can do is we can take off the O-ring using using a spring tool, and we'll measure up the diameter of the O-ring and see if we can find a replacement. Right, bad news, it's not an O-ring. It is kind of like a gasket that goes all the way to the side of the lid. So I thought it was a black O-ring, but it's not. So we're going to have to leave that in there and just hope for the best now. Hope it was a tuning issue, or hope that it was leaking from there. Yeah, we've got a fuel leak. We've got an air leak, probably in the tank. There's a lot of bubbles there. If you look at the line, look how many bubbles there are in the line. That's going to kill the engine. It's going to make it run lean. It's going to make it overheat. The engine is hot, so it's probably the lid. It's probably the gasket in the lid, and it seems like you can't change it. So that means whole new fuel tank. or convert it to electric, or just let somebody else replace the fuel tank. I'm not going to spend money on this one. But we can put the engine in the Sen Matrix TR Arena. It's a great engine. Bring Nitro back.